I am the Super Vader and urban legend heavyweight champion. I am the cowboy from hell, Stud Bronson, and I'm drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkin at Demos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's also mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at. Like a power bomb, we hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, always a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, if you will. You know, helps with that pain in the ass YouTube algorithm. We're on most audio platforms too, so leave a review there. First recording back since taking a break for the birth of my son. We kind of just talked about that, but today I have with me Stud Bronson. How you doing?
I'm doing real good. How you doing?
I can't complain. The little guy is proven to be a pretty good baby. You know, letting us at least get some sleep at night.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations on the baby. That's real cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it was something. Off camera, I might tell you specifically, but yeah, it was kind of a crazy entry with having to have an emergency C-section. So, but all's good now. So
That's what matters.
can't complain. Absolutely.
That's right.
So, first thing I'd like to talk with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you finally deciding to make the leap into the business.
Okay. We'll settle in. It'll be a long story. I'll try and cut it down.
Okay.
I was real little. I was about 4 years old, and funny enough, I'm actually getting ready to go wrestle down in a place called Douglas, Arizona next Saturday on the 25th. And I was in Douglas. I'm 4 years old. I'm at my grandma's house. It's after church, and we had learned about Samson and Delilah in Sunday school. And so I go home. I go to grandma's house, and she's getting dinner ready for everybody after church. And I go out in tears. I'm super upset because I can't find my favorite show at the time, which was Muppet Babies.
Oh, I love the Muppet Babies.
And couldn't find it. I don't know if it got canceled or what, but my grandma's all like, okay, I got it. I know something that's on that you'll like. And she walks me back into the TV room, and she turns on the TV, and there on the screen is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And it's just like right around like the time when he started becoming heel. And he's out there with his long hair. He hits the HBK pose, and everybody's going crazy. And my little boy brain goes, oh, that's Samson from Samson and Delilah. And then I was all like, I want to do this. And we moved to Kentucky for a couple of years. I had a hard time catching wrestling when we lived in Kentucky. I remember this was really weird. I remember we had a snow day, and the image of Vader came up on the screen, but in the Mastodon helmet. And he was getting ready to fight Sting, but it's like 6 a.m. in Kentucky. And I'm getting ready for school. I don't know what this is. It's terrifying. Scared the hell out of me. Didn't realize what it was. But now I can go back in that memory because I'm very familiar, and I can go, oh my God, that was Vader. years passed, got married, always wanted to wrestle, didn't do it. Got into powerlifting, got a gold medal in powerlifting, did Muay Thai kickboxing, got divorced. But before the divorce, we had a little girl, and she is the coolest little person. We're best friends. And earlier I called myself the cowboy from hell in my little intro there, and I'm an actual cowboy, like a ranch working cowboy. And some time had passed, and I trained wrestling post divorce, but I got hurt real bad. My left ankle, training leapfrogs, looked like I'd broken it. Thank God it didn't get broken, but my ankle was black down into my toes, like black, like a pair of pants.
Oh,
And so I took a break, and my daughter, she happened on me one day, and we're talking, and she's a little girl at the time. She's about 6 or 7. I think she's about 6, and she tells me, "Dad, I think you should go be a cowboy again." And I told her, well, honey, cowboying doesn't pay for nothing. I didn't say nothing. I said an expletive. I'm trying to be a good guy here. And she goes, okay, well, you should go be a wrestler again. And I thought about it, and it weighed heavy on me. I would go train wrestling when she wasn't around. When she was with her mom for half the week, I would go train wrestling. Every day after work, I would drive an hour and a half, and I would train at the CLW, which is now a defunct wrestling school and organization. COVID killed it. But I would train, and it just, it was a lot. It was physically a lot. And I was looking for excuses not to do it. I was hurt, this, that, the other. And within like 2 weeks of her asking me that, Brody Lee passed away.
mm,
And something about that hit really super heavy. I know he had kids. I have a kid. I knew his kids were really into what he was doing. I know little Brody was going out with him. He was wearing the -1 mask, and
yeah.
it hit me real hard. It like basically broke my heart because he couldn't do it for his kid, but I'm still here and I can do it for my kid. So I did. I got on the phone with a buddy of mine. I was like, "Hey, do you still wrestle?" He's like, "Yep." He's like, "I'm in Tennessee right now." He was training over at the Jacob Pritchard Wrestling Academy, and
Okay.
yeah. And he's like, "When I come back from Tennessee, we'll get the rust off of you, and we'll see what we can do." And I started getting booked, and here I am. So, whole long story. Basically, my grandma and my daughter made sure I was a wrestler.
Hey, while I haven't been, an active in-ring competitor, there are some similarities in how we both got in. I know, you with your grandma, me, if I remember right, it was actually my now late uncle that I first started watching with, and then, seeing guys like, I mean, okay, it's people hate him right now, but Hogan,
Yeah.
Warrior, the Legion of Doom, the spiked shoulder pads. I just,
Oh yeah.
but then, you know, like with you and Vader, there was a guy back that he initially scared the crap out of me, but looking back on his matches now, I'm like, oh my god, like I gravitate towards those intense personas.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruiser Brody.
Oh, 100%.
Man, like initially, little kid, seeing him come out there the way he did, scared the living crap out of me.
Oh yeah.
But now, oh my god, like just that intensity, I love it.
Me too. Me too. It's right up my alley.
No, oh yeah, no, but and I've been lucky enough to get to actually meet one person that actually, he still has that intensity, but his entrances were kind of Bruiser Brody-esque back in like his New Japan days. But I actually got a signed figure from him, Lance Archer.
Oh yeah.
Back
That's
in the
awesome.
New Japan days, very similar.
We I'm part of a stable called the Peacemakers, and right now we're a little fractured. But me and the Manimal always tag no matter what, and everywhere we go, the guys in the locker room are like, "Oh, you remind me of Bruiser Brody. Oh, this is like Bruiser Brody. He's 6'3", he's 350 pounds. He's huge, wild hair, big beard. And I always, I kind of took the piss out of him every time I talked to him. Be like, "Oh, Bruiser Brody, oh, Bruiser Brody." Tease him a little bit, and that's his guy. That's his number one. He loves Bruiser. And we're working up in STF in Utah, and Kevin Sullivan was on the show. And rest in peace, Kevin. And we walk into the locker room, and his tag partner said, "Do you have tape?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's for Kevin." And I was like, "Sure." So I go on the back, and because the guy disappeared, and I'm looking for him. There's Kevin sitting in a little chair, and Manimal walks in, and Kevin leans back in the chair, looks like he's seen a ghost, and he whispers, "Bruiser." And I was all like, "Oh my God, everybody thinks you're Bruiser Brody." So then he's like, "Hold on, hold on. You come here, sit down next to me." And he tells us like 4 or 5 different Bruiser Brody stories. Basically, like, I hate saying this, but it's always been my personal thought. Basically, like, because Bruiser can't do it, Kevin's sitting here passing the baton to the Manimal, going, "Carry it on, brother, carry it on."
Oh
And
yeah.
it's crazy to me. And people, when we go places, he'll wrestle, and doesn't matter if they know who we are or not. Like, if we're not local, they pop for him so big. They love him. He's something to witness. He is. He's something to witness.
Oh man, I need to get my eyes on some of his matches. But another person, you brought up Vader.
Yeah.
I've only got to see him live the one time, but it was at the first Raw taping I ever went to, and they did tapings for some other shows like they do a lot, and I think he was out there a good like 3 times that night. So I got to see the entrance and everything like 3 or so times, but it was just something. I hell, I got some of my collections back here, but two of my oh shit, that kind of fell down. But the Funkos, I got the
Oh, I
Vader,
love it. Oh, I love it.
and one of my other favorite big men of all time, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah, but those two, like you would see people their size and not really think that they could move around and do the stuff that they did.
Yeah,
But when they did it, your jaw was on the floor.
yeah. It's why, like, being a wrestler now, and then going back and watching like Vader and Bam Bam, and knowing when Vader's doing that, at least in the WWF, he's 456 pounds. That's what they bill him as. He's gigantic. I'm 250 pounds. I've never in my life thought I'm a backflip off the top rope.
Oh God.
No.
No, I'm not even anywhere close to his weight, but yeah, oh,
Yeah, but not gonna
no,
happen.
not happening with me. I already got a bad enough back from a,
That's
an old Navy injury that I'm like, yep, nope, I know my limits.
Yeah, I got it a lot when I first got in. My hair was shorter. I wore a black singlet, long black pants with red like embossing on it, red emblems and stuff. And I'd get it. "Oh man, you're just like Vader. Oh, you're just like Vader." And I'm thinking, wow, I'm like 200 pounds lighter. And the first show I did, they were like, "Do the Vader bomb as your finish." That move sucks. Like, doing it sucks. I did it, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore." So I started going back into like the logs of wrestling and seeing who do I actually want to like, who do I want to move like, who do I want to wrestle like? Because Vader's doing these flips and these cartwheels. And there's the real popular video of him right now where he does the backflip over the top rope standing on the apron, catches himself on his hands, and he stands up. Hell no, I'm not gonna do that, man. So I went back and I started watching all this stuff, and when I was little, I was like 12, 11. My old man told me one day, he's like, "You keep doing that and you're going to start moving like mankind." And I was all like, huh. So I went back and I looked at some of Foley's stuff, and I was like, I think. So I started adapting the cactus clothesline.
Mm.
As a scary, I think it might be scarier than doing a backflip off the top rope. You go 100 miles an hour over the top rope with somebody out to the outside of the ring, and It's pretty spooky, and that just kind of evolved. Watching Cactus, it kind of evolved into this Terry Funk, $2 steak Texas tough kind of gimmick. And so I get out there and people tell us, well, we'll do the shows for Thunder Mountain, and they'll be all like, it's like watching cowboys wrestle. It's just like watching cowboy wrestling, and it's like that's the coolest thing you could ever tell me. Like I love that. I love this Southern slugfest kind of wrestling. That's what WCW started as, and then
Yeah.
it kind of became something else. But I really like that
Oh,
aggressiveness.
oh yeah. Back,
Yeah.
oh God, some of my memories from, okay, you talked about, going to Sunday school, and, I do want to talk about the place you just mentioned, Thunder Mountain,
Yeah.
but you brought up a memory for me with the WCW and the way it started out. I know back in the, growing up in the 80s and in the early 90s, you know, WWE or WF, whatever the hell you want to call it, it was still in the the syndicated stuff. So you might catch it here, you might not here. It was kind of inconsistent when you'd catch it, but the one that for wrestling that was consistent every week for at least me, WCW Saturday Night, and
Mhm.
and being raised in a Catholic family, that my parents wanted to go to mass on Saturday evenings, and there'd be times when I discovered wrestling. I'm like, oh, but I want to watch wrestling.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah, and then some of those days where oh the Kevin Sullivan with his group and the Horsemen and all that. Oh man,
oh yeah. Oh
those are the
yeah.
days.
I love that stuff, man. That's my bread and butter. When I go back and I need inspiration for what I'm doing, I'll go back and I'll watch Dusty versus the Four Horsemen. And like parts where like they take him out in the parking lot, they break his arm, they bloody his face. That's what wrestling is to me. That's hold on here. Let me
Yep.
sorry about that.
You're good. Oh. All right, we're back. Damn
Sorry
it,
about
where
that.
were we? Oh, WCW Saturday Night, and
Oh
the
yeah.
Kevin Sullivan and the Horsemen and the I know some of the matches that I remember from that feud were some actually goes all the people they brought in Magnum TA and that
Oh yeah.
crazy cage match and
Yeah.
stuff. I remember more recently, as a couple years ago, one of my friends was going to be in one of the first ever cage matches for a local promotion here.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I had this idea that I'm like, normally when you see people trying to escape the cage and somebody tries to stop them, it's like, oh, they slam the door on them, but then they fall back. And, oh, there's what I told him, what if instead of you want the feud to keep going, so you have somebody hit, slam the door on you, but instead of, stumbling back, you fall forward onto him, and then boom, you won the match. And well, I was not too long into the relationship with my now wife when she's a mutual friend of that guy.
Yeah.
And she ended up seeing a video on his Facebook page, and they used that finish. And I just remember practically jumping up like, holy shit, they used it.
That's amazing. That's perfect. It's it
It's not something you see all the time with that. It's that other finish that's the air quotes normal.
right. Which doesn't make sense because getting knocked unconscious halfway out the ring, you're gonna leak out right over the rope. Just
Yeah, that's what I thought.
that's smart, man. That's smart. Somebody better give you a book real quick. You start booking shows.
I have been told more than once that I should be a freaking writer for some damn show. Because, good lord, I come up with freaking storyline ideas all the damn time. That's a topic for another friggin' time. But I talked about wanting to talk about Thunder Mountain. And
Sure.
I love with this podcast, I'm getting to learn about, even though it's been goddamn almost 320 some odd episodes now, I'm still learning about new places and new promotions. So Thunder Mountain, for those that might not be in that area, what do you guys got going on? Because I know there is a show, this will end up being released after, but a pretty great looking show from what I see on January 25th. And I'm loving the posters on this because of, you can go into the name and then we'll talk about why I love the idea that I've seen on the posters.
Sure, yeah. So Genesis, Thunder Mountain Genesis. Yeah, it's I have maybe the biggest. There's no maybe about it. It's the biggest match of my career so far. I'm wrestling Savio Vega, and for people that don't know, Savio Vega was Steve Austin's first ever WrestleMania opponent. And
Yeah,
they
my
went on
all-time
to have
favorite guy myself.
yeah, they went on and they had a couple good matches on that Beware of Dog pay-per-view that they had to cancel and then restart up. And
Oh yeah, because of the light issue.
yeah,
Like the lights went out.
I actually grew up on that match. We had a video store here, and I'd always go rent that match because I knew Steve Austin was on it for sure, and I'd go rent it. And I've seen that Caribbean strap match, as they called it, more times than I could count. So being able to defend championships, two championships against this man, Savio Vega, it's huge for me, especially the little kid inside of me, because I grew up watching the guy, and people have questioned that. They're like, well, yeah, you grew up watching him. That means he's an old man now. He's 60 years old. I've seen Savio wrestle recently, and
Oh, he
nothing
can
about
still
that
go.
man is 60.
Oh yeah, that dude can still go. Like I've interviewed a few people that have, done business with him, including the guy that's now the FIP World Heavyweight Champ that has been down there, and that guy, he's an interesting character, but he was in a feud with Savio Vega for a while down there. Yeah. And I've had people like go yet to be released, but he at one point held both the heavyweight and the intercontinental title for Savio's promotion.
Wow.
Down there. So yeah, Savio, both, in the promoter and booking wise, he's got the mind there, but he keeps himself in shape and he can freaking go.
He can, and I'm deeply aware of the amount of times I'm probably going to get punched in the mouth. And so it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a real fight for sure. But there's so much happening on that card. The heavyweight champion Victor Orsis is wrestling NWA superstar Colby Corino.
I thought, like, for some reason the picture that I saw, I was like, I don't know if I saw him more recently. I'm like, okay, he looks different, but I think that's him. Okay, yep. Good.
That's Colby.
Thought that was him.
So that fella, Victor Ursus, he beat my partner, the Manimal, in October for that belt through dubious means. Yeah. I'm not gonna. So this is actually his first title defense with that belt, and it's against Colby Corino of all people. And so right now that. Maybe I'll have to find my way up into the heavyweight title picture eventually. But right now, guys like Mil Muertes, Hernandez, and Colby Corino have wrestled for this belt. And now for the Super Vader, Dios de lo Inframundo Drago from Lucha Underground, and now Savio Vega have wrestled for the Super Vader and the Urban Legend Championship. So it's just everything gets bigger and bigger. And then the special guest of the evening is Vampiro.
Vampiro, yeah, I saw him, and I knew he had some medical issues a while back that were, putting his like in front of the camera time in kind of jeopardy, really. Yeah. But to see him getting back out there and having fun the way that he's doing. I'm loving it. I'm loving that he's
Me
getting
too.
back out there.
Me too. Me too. I'm very, very excited to see what Vampiro brings to Thunder Mountain Wrestling.
Oh
Very
yeah,
excited.
I look forward to hearing about that. And
Me too.
a couple things I'm curious for is, well, the Super Vader Championship. Now, I for those that haven't seen this belt, I've seen the pictures, and yes, it has Vader on there. Where did this come about? For there, that
This
is
one?
one
Yeah.
beautiful looking belt right there.
Yeah. So when uh when I first heard about the title, it was basically described to me as it's going to be kind of its own bracket. Like you have your heavyweight division, and that's where the heavyweights, and then the cruiserweights. So it's guys that like to fight are going to be in the for the Super Vader, and the matches are contested under what they call Haas fight rules, which
Mm.
is last man standing. Basically, it's who can meet the 10 seconds, and it's basically designed for, to my understanding, the toughest of the tough. I I put in a bid for it, and I wrestled a fellow named the Ramrock in September, and he got up to his feet about a half second before I did, and I'm cool. I'm cool with that. But then he's walking out with the title, and he got in my 10-year-old daughter's face, started barking at her, saying some stuff, and I said, "All right, let's run it back." So we met up again. So that was actually in August. We met up again in September, and we wrestled in a dog collar match. And,
Ah,
yeah, and it was a dog collar house fight rules. So it means you're connected by that collar, so you can't slip away from me. And we're gonna go. And we got about 3/4 of the way through that match. And I do a discus lariat, and I hit the discus, and I'm coming through, and my momentum causes the chain to come up between us, and I hit him with that lariat, and I don't know if I hit him hard enough or what, but that chain snaps, and I stand up, and I got this dog collar on still, so I detached it, and I took to whipping him with it. I had no other choice.
no, no, I would have done the same damn thing, and
See?
that's like,
Uh, I wrestled Drago for it afterwards. I thought Drago was an interesting booking choice. I outweigh Drago by about 100 pounds, and I'm like 3 or 4 inches taller than him. And I was like, "All right, if this is what we're gonna do," and ended up choking him out in under 5 minutes. Choked him out, got away from him. They counted the 10 on him, and that was that. Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to talk with a handful of Lucha Underground talent
yeah,
from, oh God, I'm trying to think of who all, the Lil Cholo out in California. Oh God, Famous B, another one. That was fun. Like, on a little tangent here, like I said,
yeah. I'm in.
tangents sometimes happen when I get ideas in my head. But back in the Lucha Underground days, he had those vignettes where it was like, I forget the number, but it was like 4, 2, 3, get fame.
Yeah,
In my head, I might have thought, oh man, that would be cool if during his intro that he do that. I didn't even ask. Boom, did it. I'm like, yes, happy me, happy dance right now. And actually, former Lucha Underground champion Marty the Moth, Martin Casas, had him on that. That was one that he ended up following my podcast on Instagram. And I'm like, light bulb.
yeah.
So I just was like, let's see if it sticks. And boom, it happened. And I'm
I
like,
got to tear it up with him a little bit.
I was gonna say, I know I've seen your two names come across each other.
Yeah, we they did an IZW show, and I wrestled on the show earlier in the evening. I wrestled a fellow named Dolan Shaw, and it was a murder. He didn't stand a chance, and that's all right. Sometimes they don't.
It
Um,
happens.
it happens, and they were like, "Do you want to enter into the monster Rumble? And I was like, sure. Well, it went pretty well. I was doing pretty good. And there's a fella, a lot of people in the know may know him, named Navajo Warrior.
Mm.
And I get in the ring and I'm clearing house and Nav's clearing house and we stop and we turn in on each other. And I'm, exaggerated or not, to me, it felt like Hogan and Rock. Like the
Mm.
place was coming unhinged. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And we started banging on each other a little bit. And I started getting the better of him. And then here comes Marty the Moth. And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm going to get you too. And he's clearing house, throwing guys out left and right. He turns around, Stud Bronson, boom, elbows him right in this big old head. Now that's the problem though. I didn't realize if you hit him in the head a lot, it powers him up. So I hit him and nothing happened. I hit him again. He's firing up and I hit him again. And he takes me by my hair and throws me right over the top rope.
Oh,
Hey, he got thrown out right after though. So I mean,
at least he didn't go on to win it, I guess.
oh God, I would have had to have a rematch or something. Yeah, no, I got in there with Marty. He's a good guy. He's a
Oh
good guy.
yeah,
Real good
totally.
guy.
I I cannot say a bad thing about him. Totally
No.
pleasant interactions every time that I've been able to talk with him.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, again, another tangent. But bef- before we go into the other belt that you're going to be defending,
Sure.
the whole thing about the over the top rope battle royals, the idea came up in my head as of recording last night with Monday Night Raw and Royal Rumble season coming up,
Oh yeah.
and people declaring for the Rumble and talking about throwing 29 people over the top. I'm like, has anybody ever actually thrown 29 other people over the top?
So I think the record was Kane, and I think he had 13.
Yeah,
And then
people have gotten into the double digits,
yeah,
but never that close.
no, Braun Strowman broke it, I think, at 15. I think it sits with Braun Strowman right now. I think it's 15. It's something like that. So Braun's the guy to beat at 15. So hopefully he's in the Royal Rumble and he'll throw out 29 other men.
That I know the other big guy that I wouldn't mind seeing, but he's out injured right now, Bronson Reed.
Oh yeah.
So I've actually had him on back when he was Jonah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That was
That's
that was a
awesome.
somewhat shorter of an episode, but it was fun. He actually agreed. We were at the same fan fest and was like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Holy shit! I didn't think he'd actually agree to it."
That's super cool, man.
Oh, dude, one of the nicest dudes ever. And him and his wife had their kid the same way that my wife and I had ours.
That's real cool. That's
So, little,
very serendipitous. Yeah.
exactly. So, all right, back on track here. The other title that you will be defending against Savio Vega, the Urban Legend champion. Ah, yes, another great looking belt there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, Dr. Pepper, I love it, but it gives me the burps like crazy.
Yeah, that's all
But
right.
but okay, so explain the Urban Legend Championship for those not in your area.
Sure. So the Urban Legend Championship has had two holders. The first was Evil Nate back east. He is a backwoods buzzsaw, the son of Leatherface, I think is what people call him nowadays. Wears like a killed Bigfoot mask over his own head. He's got the big chainsaw that he comes out with. And I saw him beating guys, just bang, 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 beating him, beating him, beating him. I told him, well, why don't you come test it out in Arizona? And he's like, sure, okay, all right. So he came to wrestle me in Arizona. It was me. It was a 4-man match. There was the Manimal, who is my partner, but it's competition.
It happens.
It happens. And Victor Ursus, who's actually the current heavyweight champion in Thunder Mountain, and then Evil Nate. And it was a Monsters Ball match.
Oh, I love those.
And that's how this belt has been contended since then by me. And it's in these hyper aggressive matches. And it was I don't like admitting this. I hit Victor Ursus with my finish, the Marlboro Red, and that's a Saito suplex for those that don't know. And I pinned him. I didn't realize that Evil Nate had pinned the Manimal at the same time in a bed of thumbtacks, and the referee didn't see, and he counted the three for me. So technically, it's kind of contested, but Evil Nate's never come back asking for it.
Hey,
So
not your fault if he doesn't come back asking for that
that's
rematch.
and so I've actually held it. I'm the second person to hold this belt, and I've held it for oh my gosh, like 600-700 days, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. And then coming up with a guy that's been in some pretty intense matches in his own right with Savio.
yep.
And you're defending both, the Super Vader and that. Both belts contested over some pretty intense types of matches.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, like you just had me thinking after explaining the Urban Legend title. I don't know if Thunder Mountain has, they put their stuff out on YouTube or they got some streaming somewhere, but I'm like, as soon as you mentioned the circumstances that the Urban Legend title is defended under, I'm like, I have to see that match.
yeah. I think that's floating around. That was a show for HIW, and I think that's floating around on the internet right now. And I don't think it. I know it. I'd have to ask my daughter. That's her favorite match. She just watches that on repeat. So that's yeah. So that it's out there. It's out there. It's filmed
Oh,
a different couple
this
of
one,
angles.
this one was Savio though.
Yeah, that one's gonna be. That one will be on. So Thunder Mountain just started a YouTube page.
Okay.
It's gaining its subscribers and its views and stuff like that. Side note, not me, but still cool. They put up a video of the Manimal defending his heavyweight title on their Facebook, like directly to their Facebook. He's wrestling a fellow named RKG, and it's been viewed 640,000 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah, I was telling him the other day, he's not the champ anymore, but I was telling him, I was like, I think you might have made that title a world title because the only thing you haven't done is defended across the border. He's defended it against Mil Muertes, Hernandez, those are worldwide competitors. He's defended it in front of over 500,000 people now. So I was like, you're like this close to making that a world title. He's like, well, I'm
Oh
not the
yeah.
champ anymore. I was like, well,
Oh yeah. All he literally has to do is just that slip over the border with that.
that's it.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes, and it becomes a world title. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah. So they started their YouTube, and the YouTube algorithm for their like longer shows, it'll afford like a couple hundred views and stuff. But their one match going up on Facebook, it went
Oh,
bananas, man.
yeah. Epic viral right there.
Yeah.
That is nuts. And man, congratulations to both of those
Oh yeah.
guys on that. That's awesome. I know I'm looking forward to, when this gets released. I know some like my longer episodes, yeah, the YouTube algorithm, like I said at the beginning, it's a pain in the ass.
It is. It is.
So much. Like I am thankful that all the views that I've gotten, I think oh god, total about 130,000 through everything.
I'd say that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And sitting at, as of recording, about 405 subscribers. Yeah,
That's
405.
awesome.
I
That's
just
awesome.
passed 400 maybe like a week or so ago.
That's super good. That's insane.
Oh god, I never thought I'd get anywhere that close. So
Yeah.
the fact that I have, holy shit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what Thunder Mountain has coming because 2025 big year. This show coming up, like I said, I love the poster for this Genesis show because for those that grew up during the time of this console's main lifespan, it literally looks like a Sega Genesis cover.
It
I
does.
love it.
It
When I
does.
first noticed that, I'm like, holy crap, that is awesome.
It does. It does. And they used the I wrestled Drago and he misted me in the match. which was his downfall.
Yeah,
But
so that's why your face looked like that in the.
I'm green on the poster because I'd been misted and they used that picture. And I get asked that. They're like, is that your thing now? Are you green faced? I'm like, no, man, I got spit on.
Oh man, that is like I was curious myself, but now I know the backstory.
Yep.
But yeah, I've got plenty of good stuff coming up with the podcast too. I actually just believe they're more Midwest right now, but they have working relationships with promotion in Mexico, one in Japan. They're bringing in international talent. Fantastic league of wrestling. We just agreed to Drinkinatmos being one of a couple podcast partners. So getting, people coming in,
That's
them
awesome.
feeding me people, me doing, preview episodes
Yeah.
for different big cards. So lots of good stuff coming up.
That's great. That's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. Like I said, not just with the 400 plus subscribers, but with something like that.
Yeah.
The podcast was like, holy crap. Like I literally just, much like a lot of my big guests back, when I was starting, thinking, small time person, are they going to want to, but I'll never know if I don't ask. So let's see if it sticks. And the guys that invented the Spanish Fly, the SATs, had them on.
That's
Bronson
awesome.
Reed, freaking Kerry Silken that used to own Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Like I remember when I told people I was having him on, they were like, "Holy shit! You got Kerry." Billy Starks, who's doing amazing things in AEW Ring of Honor right now. Like, that was another one that I'm like, ooh, I would like it, but hell, I've been lucky. I love that you were defending those titles against, like Savio Vega, like Drago, and matches with, the stipulations that both of those titles afford. I'm like, okay, you got my attention with that because that stuff is right up my damn alley.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear.
So, I have two categories here. One's a bit of a name game, the other's some random questions. But first, the name game where I try to give you some people, I name off some people, and you give me your quick thoughts on them. And each of these people, I had the idea. You are defending against Savio Vega, a WWE, a pro wrestling legend, really.
Yes.
And each of these people, much along the same lines.
Okay.
Wrestling, WWE legends, however you want to look at it. So it doesn't have to be one word, but like a couple sentences on each person. First one, he's done work with GCW, so those title stipulations, it would fit. X-Pac.
X-Pac is overlooked. I don't like the word underrated. He's overlooked.
Overlooked, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. His stuff with Razor Ramon back when he was the kid. Oh, my God. Excellent.
Oh, and then when he came back after the stint in the WCW and almost getting WWE sued because of the references and some of the promos.
Yeah.
Oh, epic stuff. One person I know I would love to get to talk to, but busy guy that guy is.
Yeah.
Now these next that kind of 2-in-1 here.
Sure.
But they've both been in plenty of intense matches. The Hardy Boys.
In contention for being the greatest tag team of all time?
I would have to say they're definitely a team that can. The argument could be made.
It could be. Sure. It's I personally, for me, it's the LOD.
Oh,
But
same.
if you told me Hardy Boys is my favorite tag team, I think they're the greatest of all time, I'd go, I understand. I understand.
Yeah, I
Innovative,
oh,
absolutely.
totally go. Good Lord, some of the stuff from those TLC matches,
Oh
just,
yeah,
ooh,
crazy.
crazy stuff. And you know what? Speaking of that, the TLC matches, the next person, one of the people that was in there with them, and I would say both of the people in this tag team, but this guy is still actually actively out there, doesn't have the medical issues that the other
Yeah,
took him away, but Bully Ray.
Bully. If we're gonna say specifically Bully Ray, one of the best heels of that time, one of the best true bad guys.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Great worker, great on the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You, you
he's.
get you get
I
people out there right now, not to interrupt,
no,
but you
you're
get
fine.
people out there right now that, with the heel work, it's almost like, oh, they want to be that heel, but they want the merch money, which, hey,
Right.
it you got to sell your merch.
Mm-hmm.
But there, there aren't too many people out there that take the heel part of everything and just run with it to that level where they're damn near causing riots.
Right.
That guy was able to do it like nobody.
He was. He was. Somebody I'd love to face for the Super Vader, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can
Yeah.
see that. I can see that for sure. That would be epic. I actually got to meet him. Well, kind of got to meet him. I saw him live at Sammy Callahan's promotion, Revolver. He came in the first time Paul Walterhauser did a match for them against Matt Cardona, and all of a sudden, Bully Ray comes out and helps them towards the end of the match, and Paul Walterhauser and Bully Ray put Matt Cardona through a flaming table.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, it was epic. I'm a little pissed off. Well, I wouldn't say pissed off, but jealous of my friend that I went to that show with, because during intermission they did a thing where you pay, you get your picture taken with them. Well, it was cash only. I went over to the ATM after I figured out, oh shit, it's cash only. Well, I get within like four people of finally getting up there. Lights go down. Oh shit, show's back on. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That almost happened to me once. So I know that feeling all too well.
Oh, I tell you, if that were my all-time favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin, if that were flipped around and that were Stone Cold and that happened,
Oh yeah.
mm,
Nope.
no, I would be so fucking pissed.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, like Stone Cold, the one guy that if I ever got to meet, I don't get starstruck too often, but I don't know if I'd be able to get a word out if I met him.
I understand. I understand.
It would just be, I talk about it a few times, but you have it built, somebody built up so much in your head that when you finally are in front of them, you're like, holy shit, that's actually you. You're that you're yeah. All right. Last but not least here, another big guy had a pretty, intense run with one persona in particular. I'm talking about the Hall of Pain, Mark Henry.
I wanted to say underrated. I wanted to because the Hall of Pain run
Oh,
is
epic.
one of the best championship runs. Then it just goes off into this heel run after he drops the belt. Mark in that moment was perfect. I was actually always a Mark fan growing up. I actually got into powerlifting and strongman
Mm.
because of guys like Mark Henry. Is Mark Henry Bill Kazmaier, who wrestled for WCW for a brief while, then he was before that the 3 time strongest man in the world. Uh, Strength always was really cool to me. And then Mark, like being strong on TV before the Hall of Pain when he's pushing the limo back, he
Yeah.
pulled the double semis, and that was all very real.
Yeah.
I think Mark is slept on in almost every conversation. I think he's easily, if I'm going to be really broad stroke here, I'll say top 5 best big men of all time.
He would definitely be up there.
Yeah.
Like you see some of the big guys out there like Vader, like Bam Bam, but then like just the sheer strength, like legit strength that guy had.
Yeah.
And then you put him like especially in that Hall of Pain run where
Oh,
it
yeah.
was like, I swear if I were across the ring from him and knowing what that guy could legit do,
Yep.
I'd probably need a change of pants.
Oh, yeah. He had like a 900-pound deadlift when he was like 15 years old. That's insane. I'm a grown man. My deadlift is right under 700. I'm a grown man. He was a child. It's crazy how strong he is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And hey, I believe he said that if the circumstances were right, he'd be open to at least another match or two. So maybe
Here's
not
hoping.
under some of the intense circumstances of a Super Vader or Urban Legend rules, but it would still be pretty cool.
Oh, it would. Oh, it would.
All right, now to my random questions. Some wrestling related, some not.
Sure.
Some probably have nothing to do with anything we've talked about. I never really know until I'm literally putting my notes together what I'm going to put in there. All right, first one, craziest in-match moment for you.
Craziest in-match moment. Okay. I'm gonna say, okay, I have 2. I'll say I went for a backbreaker in a tag team match with the Chevero, part of the Peacemakers, and we're wrestling in this rodeo arena, and the canvas that we're on is kind of slick, and I'm wearing brand new boots. Like this is my first time wearing them wrestling, and I hit this backbreaker, and my foot slips, and the guy comes down on my knee, and there's this awful popping noise, and I hit the mat, and I start to move, and I'm trying to get an idea of what's happening, and I stand up, and I'm like, if you can take a step, you're fine. That's all I'm thinking to myself. Took a step, fine. Took 2, 3 steps, tagged out, kind of checked out my knee. I'm like, oh man. I get back in the ring, not 3 minutes later, hit a cactus clothesline, really injured knee, go over the top rope, cactus clothesline, land on my feet. Go for it again, get thrown over the top rope, land on my feet. Do our thing, do our thing. Got to come back out later in the night to save people from cheating the manimal out of his title. I have to full sprint from the back.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm going to say that was probably pretty crazy, but I think like maybe as a fan, maybe as a wrestler, maybe not fully expecting. At Manimal's match, they always go to hell. And he's wrestling Mil Muertes in a coffin match. And the coffin gets broken, shattered. So they're just brawling. They're just brawling. And all of a sudden, my brother, the Chevero, has turned his back on the Peacemakers, and he's in the ring, and he's turning on the Manimal. Well, I can't let this happen. So I hit the ring, and I thought maybe I'd get like a word in. I slide in, I stand up. All of a sudden, Mil Muertes is in front of me, and he punches me, bang, right in the mouth. And I was like, this isn't my match. I just got punched in the face by the man of 1,000 deaths. Cool. Grabs me by the throat, walks me back to the corner. He's choking me. So probably that. I would say just standing up and this TV legend is in your face and punches you in the mouth. And so, yeah, probably that.
Oh yeah, that would definitely qualify. I've heard. I love having this question in there because the stories I get like that. Like I talked about, his name is August Artois, the FIP world champion, the guy that
Very
I told you.
familiar.
So he told me about the time that he went to Puerto Rico and wore a shirt that had both in English and in Spanish, "Justice for Brody." And I'm like, he didn't even have to explain anything. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He told me that people that were in the audience that night called the promoter and told them that if they brought that guy back, that guy wasn't making it home. And
Yep.
like I've heard, from like Lloyd Anoa'i, that from the original ECW having a match with New Jack and getting told to be careful with the arena so they don't have to pay for repairs.
Yeah.
And they both proceed to end up going through a wall. And Paul Heyman proceeds to yell at them after the match. And then, like, I've seen plenty of crazy shit from, a Cage of Horrors match where fire was used twice.
If we're talking crazy like that, I was in a 6-man, so it's 3-on-3 tornado tag, but it was a Texas death match.
Oh,
And I get a barbed wire bat drug across my face. Uh, I catch some breath, get back in the ring, find the guy that did it to me, and I gave him a pile driver and 3,000 thumbtacks. So I if I can go pretty crazy too. So yeah, if we're
oh
talking
no,
crazy
yeah,
like
no.
that, yeah,
Defending a title under Super Vader and Urban Legend type rules, I would imagine you can go pretty crazy.
you can. The when I wrestled the Ramrock, he did the 10 count punches in the corner, but we were dog collared and he wrapped that chain around his hand and he's just bouncing that metal covered fist off my melon repeatedly. I dump, I hit the ground, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to catch my breath and I roll over and I sit up and the entire audience goes, oh, that's 350 people in unison doing that. And I'm like, what's
That's not.
happening? And I reach up and I go like this and I'm just soaked in blood. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
that is awesome.
Opened me up pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. And next question I have here. I know myself, I'm not too into setting these, but New Year's resolutions. Are you one that you like to set those for the new year? Or are you just one that, yeah, you have your goals and you just stick to that?
I have goals, and I just like to stick to that. Coming into the new year, I was thinking, I kind of touched on it earlier. I want to break the 700 pound deadlift this year, so I'm about 50 pounds away from that. And a lot of people don't understand all what that means, but it's pretty intense. I'd like to get there, and I'd like to. I can take a bar and press it above my head with 405 pounds. That's kind of famously what I can do, and I'd like to be able to get back to that without too many aches and pains in the shoulder. But the closer I get to 40, the more prevalent the aches and pains are. So
Oh, trust me, I turned 42 in July, and yeah,
you get it.
no, totally.
So
I
I'd like to be back playing with those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I hope you get there. Now,
Thank you.
yeah, good Lord, I'd never be able to get anywhere near that. That my I've hell. I used to work at a drug rehab center for teenagers,
Yeah.
and they had this basketball hoop that you could raise and lower the height. One kid I was with, he was wanting to dunk the ball. Like every kid wants to dunk the ball. So I lowered the hoop and I'm like, oh, I'll join you. Well, I jump and feet land. I can literally feel my back just.
Oh,
I'm like, my immediately sat down. I'm like, oh, okay, not doing that again.
I I used to do that too. I worked in a youth home for boys, and they came and they actually saw me win the Urban Legend championship. It was a real cool moment for me. I got to they'd come from broken homes, alcoholic
Yeah.
homes, drug abuse homes, and my daughter was there, and I got a real close personal friend of mine named Ryan. Ryan is paralyzed and from the waist down, and I got to hold that belt, and I told him, this is you can't, and I can. And I did this for you, and I told those boys that came from the home that we were part of. I told them, I want you to know this is for you. You can do this. Whenever you put your mind to something, you can do this. And I got to turn to my daughter and say, baby, this is for you. Like I did this for you, and it was a real cool moment for me. So I'm glad you brought that up. I've never actually got to talk about that publicly. I got to the first time I won a championship. There was a lot of very important people there. My old man was there. He was screaming the loudest for me. So there was, but to be able to take my stage at that moment and tell these people, you know, you can, you should, you will. This is for you. This is for you. It was a real important moment for me in my career.
Oh, I can
Yeah,
imagine. I know with the birth of my son, I'm like, there's stuff that, you know, hell, my main goal right now is just, and I've set it in my head that whenever my time is coming close or whenever he ends up having his kids, I want him to be able to, if I'm still around, talk about his kids when I'm there and just looks over at me and he can smile like that's my dad. Or
that's
whenever if I'm not around, him just being able to tell those stories and look up and smile and be proud of that. I'm like, if I can do that, then anything that comes with it,
brother.
great.
You are preaching to the choir. That is my exact. Like we talked about earlier. That's the reason I wrestle, man. When she is a little old lady and she's got grandkids of her own, I want her to be like, your great grandfather. He was this to me. He was this to my children, and now your parents. And I know I probably won't be there for that, especially the style of wrestling I do. It's limiting to my life, and I know that. I won't be a great great grandpa probably, and not be able to see it. But I hope she can tell, her kids and her grandkids, he was amazing. He was good to me because we're best friends. I'm married now again, and she's got a real good. We call her a bonus mom, and but my daughter is my best friend, man. And I do this for her, and I catch flack for wrestling. People are like, "Oh, I have opinions. I have this." Well, cool, man. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for
Oh
her.
yeah.
Like it's
Oh yeah. No, I've definitely with you know I won't go into all of it, but locally I've caught some crap about my opinion show and some people not liking the that I took some time out of the show to. I'm like, other people like me just fine. I got people that think just fine of me all over the damn country.
that's right.
I'm not gonna worry about a vocal minority.
Correct, man. That's it. Podcasting and wrestling, and I've actually never got to say this about anything else besides wrestling, but podcasting too, and opinions. It's flavors of ice cream. Everybody's got their own flavor. Like if you don't like this, go to this. If you don't like that, go to that. Nobody's
Exactly.
making you listen to this. Nobody's making you watch this. It's just, but people that don't, they hate. The people that can't, they hate. So here we are doing. Let them hate, brother. That's
Yeah.
all right.
Hey, I'm having fun doing it. I'm getting to
Same.
talk to people from all over. I'm getting to meet cool people like so Rikishi. I got him to sign a Head Shrinker Fatu figure. I'm
That's cool.
I'm getting to meet people like Lance Archer, getting to meet people like Jeff Cobb, Bronson Reed. Like, hey, if I wouldn't have bet on myself and friggin' just went out and
That's
did
right.
it,
That's right.
hey, all right. Now, myself, we just passed, you know, We got Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, New Year's. We're heading up on the Super Bowl coming up here shortly. One of the other big eating days of the year. I know that myself, I am not exactly a picky eater, but I do have like my least favorites. What would you say least favorite food of yours?
Oh man, this is terrible. I'm a professional wrestler, and a kid might listen to this. I hate vegetables. I cannot, I cannot stand vegetables, man. Uh, I'm, I like grilling. I like hamburgers. I like hot dogs. I like steak. I like stuff like that. And then people are like, "Oh yeah," they'll be talking about their ultimate burger, and they're like, two beef patties, American cheese, onions. I'm like, I'm out. Stop. Don't talk to me about that's disgusting. You've ruined a perfectly good burger by doing that to it. And my wife, she kind of keeps an eye on me and how I eat and how I train. She's a bodybuilder. She's got like 4 or 5 medals for it. So she's real deal Holyfield, and she'll have me do the cardio and stuff. And like in the morning, like 5:30 in the morning, she'll wake me up. We need to go to the gym so you can. And I'm like, it's I'm in Arizona. It's been 27 degrees at 6 in the morning the last like week. Don't wake me up here. She's like, no, come on, we'll go do cardio. And then she tells me all the time, you need to eat more greens. You need to eat more vegetables. You need to eat more fruit. And I'm like, I'll eat fruit. I don't want anything to do with vegetables. Please, they're disgusting. So,
I, for until I met my wife, I was very much in the same boat.
oh yeah.
I don't know. There was some stuff like, I mean, I know you won't like these, but asparagus, Brussels sprouts. Now, the way, like before I met her, hated them. I don't know if it was the last time I had them, they just made me gag or whatever. But for some reason, the way that she prepared them, I'm like, okay, I can do it like this.
Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll tell her, okay, make me some vegetables then. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's plenty of people out there that don't like vegetables, but and I'm not one saying, oh, you got to eat your vegetables. But I just think with a lot of people, it's just, the way that they're prepared sometimes. If you like, there's stuff that I like, but I can definitely tell when I had a not so great portion.
Yeah.
All right. Now, with the name of a show like I have, I feel like I have to ask this. Favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
Chocolate milk. Because I'm apparently 12, but yeah, it's chocolate milk. Yeah.
Oh, chocolate milk. As far as non-alcoholic, hey, chocolate milk. I love me some good chocolate milk.
Yeah,
I've been drinking myself a Dr. Pepper.
I like a good Dr. Pepper. I like their strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper.
So that is good. As far as alcohol, I'm more of a beer guy, but
I'll tell you, I don't drink, but
hey, that is totally fine.
I was wrestling on a show. Guy won a heavyweight championship, and he's drinking by himself, and he's got one of the Broken Skull IPAs. It's got like a citrus flavor to it, and he's like, "Hey, brother, will you share this with me?" And I'm like, "Sure," because it's not that I can't drink. It's just something I don't do.
Hey,
and he gave it to me. I drank some of it. I immediately my brain goes, "This would be really good with a giant hamburger, a big old greasy hamburger." And I was all like, "Oh man." So that was so okay. I'll say the Broken Skull IPA for an alcoholic beverage. I'll say Broken Skull IPA.
oh, nothing wrong with that. I know, like, hey, I've had plenty of people on that for one reason or another don't drink. Personal choice, medical reasons. They, had addiction issues and they're just steering clear of it. That's why I always try to tell people just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean that it has to be alcoholic. Because hell, most of the time I'm drinking Dr. Pepper during these.
See, you know how it is.
But all right, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Oh my God. All right, so I guess it's kind of advice. It's kind of like a little bit of a monologue. I'll say this: wrestling hurts. It's not nice. It is maybe one of the most unfriendly businesses you can get into. If you read the books when you were a kid or whatever, a lot of the autobiographies, they'll tell you you'll walk out of this business with maybe two really good friends. It's lonely. It's hard. It really does hurt. But at the end of the day, it is so important what you're doing because you'll go out there in front of 10 people or 350 people or 20,000 people and you're impacting their life and giving them a hell of a good time. So just dig your feet in, drop your shoulder, push back on the boulder. There will be days you don't want to do this, but every day you do it, you're making somebody's life even better.
Oh
I know
yeah.
I know it's a weird thing to say.
Hey.
It's not for us, it's for them.
Oh,
You know,
and
it's
I totally get it because hell, even with myself, I've had plenty of times like well, the reason I have this tattoo on my arm before the birth of my son, actually 2 years ago, my wife and I were pregnant with twin girls, and they got born way too premature and only made it about a week. There, there was times where, like, I believe I still had some stuff that I had already recorded done, but I like stopped new stuff. I, I don't even really think I watched wrestling for a while. I was just not anywhere, just a
I get it.
complete
Yeah.
shit place in my head. But there was that time where I'm like, yeah, I'll start, like, not that I didn't pay attention to it, I just wasn't actively watching, and then I ended up he another great uh damn it, words are hard. He is
Yeah.
a commentator. He at the time did GCW, but he does a few promotions out there now, but Kevin Gill.
Mm-hmm.
And I had I'd had him on the podcast, and I actually tweeted at him during a show about that was one of the first shows that I watched since everything, and that I thanked him and the promotion for providing me an escape from all of that shit. And he actually mentioned that during commentary during the show.
That's
And
awesome.
another great memory of something like that, I actually, first show I ever went to after all of that was for Revolver, and I actually got to talk with Jake Christ after the show, and that I had him on before all that happened, and actually he took a solid little bit of time after the show and just stood there talking to me. I'm like, that is why you reminded me of all of that, because you never know whether there's a solid packed house, whether it was kind of a light house that night, but that you putting it all out there, regardless, you're leaving whoever might be there. You put an impression on somebody who could have been having an absolute shit day before they
Absolutely.
went there. And then, at least for that amount of time they were at that show, none of that mattered.
Right.
Definitely.
Just got to keep going.
No, totally. All right. Well, that is about all I have. But before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on the cowboy from hell, they can go ahead and get them there.
Instagram is at the Stud Bronson. TikTok is at the Stud Bronson. Facebook is Stud Bronson. That's where I am.
All right. Well, we'll get all of that in the description. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're the first one since coming back from my little break. I wish you well with the 25th. Well, like I said, this will be out after that, but I am going to be keeping an eye out for that one, because just the sheer fact of those two titles, I'm like, ooh, I got to keep my eye on this.
Oh, yeah.
All right. See the thing with the fucking button.